Jacob's Well, a popular swimming hole near Wimberley, will remain closed to swimmers for the foreseeable future.
And Hayes County officials say water conditions are not safe for swimming. The spring-fed well stopped flowing in July for only the fourth time in history, and now drought has caused the flow from the spring to not be suitable for swimming. While you can't swim, you still can hike in that park.
When scientists lowered drones into Jacob's Well, they expected a simple survey. Instead, the cameras revealed a submerged maze of abandoned gear, human remains, and chambers long spoken of in whispers. What began as exploration turned into evidence of tragedy, of mystery, and of a place that never forgot. The well that beckoned. From above, Jacob's Well appears almost idyllic. A crystal-clear pool nestled near Wimberley, Texas. It looks like a postcard, sunlight catching on the surface, swimmers lounging nearby, laughter echoing through Cypress Creek. But beneath this peaceful mirror lies something far more complex and far more dangerous. The mouth of the well is deceptively small, a near-perfect 12-foot wide shaft, plunging vertically into the earth for about 30 feet before twisting into submerged limestone chambers. What begins as a straight drop quickly evolves into a labyrinthine cave system, branching into tight corridors and silt-filled tunnels, some mapped, many still mysterious. Locals call it a gem, divers call it a challenge, but rescuers and scientists know it for what it truly is, a lethal geological trap. Since the 1960s, Jacob's Well has been a magnet for thrill-seekers and cave divers. Its clear water draws the curious, but its depths have claimed multiple lives. Divers have entered with experience, backup tanks, and safety lines only to vanish in silence. Some became trapped in narrow passages. Others were disoriented by swirling silt or crushed beneath collapsing gravel beds. Recovery efforts often failed or became dangerous themselves. As legends grew, so did the need for a better way to understand what lay beneath. Divers could only go so far. Human life was too fragile in the tightest zones. The solution, at last, came not from within, but from above. In 2024, a decision was made. No more risking lives. Instead, scientists turned to machines, underwater drones capable of surviving what humans could not. Outfitted with lights, cameras, sonar, and manipulators, they would venture where no diver safely could. They would enter the well not as thrill seekers, but as witnesses. And what they captured stunned even the most seasoned experts. Into the depths, drone launch. On the morning of the launch, the research team gathered in silence. A sleek ROV, remotely operated vehicle, lowered slowly into the water, tethered to the surface by a cable pulsing with data. Its lights flickered on, illuminating the depths as it slipped beneath the familiar surface of Jacob's Well. At first, everything seemed calm. The vertical shaft was clean, almost polished by time and flow. The water shimmered like liquid glass. The limestone walls reflected light in pale gold, a quiet beauty that had long deceived many who entered. The first chamber, wooded and open, offered little resistance. It looked like an underwater cathedral, tranquil, majestic. But as the drone descended into the twisting conduits below, the tone shifted. Visibility faded. Particles swirled in the water like smoke. Narrow passages forced the ROV to maneuver with precision. Silt beds thickened, muffling motion, swallowing shapes. Soon the drone's lights picked up strange debris, straps, tubing, pieces of dive gear long since swallowed by the cave. In one moment, a glove floated gently across the camera frame. Then something else, a shadow drifting past the beam. Not rock, not gear, something vaguely human. Then gone. The room fell silent. The mission had turned. This was no longer just science. The well had become a message, and the drone, its only translator. The third chamber's warning. As the drone neared the third chamber, the mission's tone shifted. What began as exploration now felt like trespassing. Visibility faded as silt filled the water like underwater dust, glowing in the ROV's lights. The chamber widened, but tension rose. Jagged limestone walls formed pockets of darkness, places that looked navigable but could trap a diver forever. Then came debris. At first, fragments, a torn fin strap, corroded buckles, decaying neoprene, then a dive tank half buried, its regulator hose coiled like something fossilized, forgotten, undisturbed. Silence gripped the control tent. Moments later, a glove floated into view. Pale, drifting, almost human. It brushed the lens, then spiraled away. As the drone advanced, silt exploded again, revealing a shape, human-sized, unmistakable. A silhouette, then gone. The team replayed it in silence. Not rock, not gear, something else. For years, divers had whispered about this chamber, about shadows and presence, warnings without words. Now those whispers had a frame-by-frame echo. This wasn't just geology, it was history, trapped in motion, reaching back through time. The well didn't just threaten life, it held its memories, waiting in the dark. And beyond this room, the fourth chamber loomed, silent, waiting, and known by one name: the Cathedral of No Return. The Cathedral of No Return. Beyond the third chamber lies a zone almost no diver has survived, known in whispers as the Cathedral of No Return. It is Jacob's Well at its most lethal: tight stone corridors, unstable gravel, and darkness so complete it feels physical. One shift of sediment can bury a diver instantly. When the drone entered, its light swept across a tunnel angled into blackness. The floor wasn't solid limestone, but shifting substrate, the kind that collapses without warning. This was the chamber long tied to the well's most tragic disappearances. As the ROV moved forward, it documented relics divers had only rumored about: an obsolete diving mask lodged beneath rock, a rusted oxygen tank with a half-rotted label, and gear exposed by recent gravel movement. But the most startling discovery came moments later. Half hidden between the walls lay a human figure, a torn wetsuit, a trapped boot, an arm pinned under limestone. The posture told a desperate story, a diver caught while trying to escape. This was the chamber believed to hold Kent Mopin and others lost in the 1970s. Now the legend was visible, confirmed, documented, undeniable. The well had not just taken lives, it had preserved its warnings in stone and silence. The history of loss. For all its natural beauty, Jacob's Well holds a tragic past, one measured not in geologic time, but in human lives. Since the 1960s, multiple divers have entered its depths and never resurfaced. The clear surface lures with illusion, but beneath it lies a system that punishes mistakes, swallows sound, and offers no second chances. The most infamous incident came in 1979, when two experienced divers, Kent Mopin and his friend Delbert Brazier, entered the system hoping to reach the elusive fourth chamber. They were skilled, equipped, and methodical, but they never came back. Rescue attempts launched immediately. Elite divers entered with extra tanks, safety lines, and the best cave gear of the time. But even they were forced back. Shifting gravel beds, sudden silt-outs, and narrow pinches made movement nearly impossible. One rescuer was so tightly wedged, he reportedly considered inhaling water to die quickly rather than slowly suffocate. Miraculously, he escaped, but the trauma would never leave him. Years passed and more would try, some seeking thrills, others seeking answers, all of them drawn by the well's beauty, unaware they were stepping into a system engineered by nature to test the limits of control. Each life lost added to the legend. Each death, a quiet reminder that nature doesn't bend to human ambition. The cave system earned a reputation, beautiful at the surface, merciless below. Families left behind were offered only silence, no bodies, no closure. The well became a place of memorial, mystery, and mourning. And now, with the drone revealing what the water never gave back, images of equipment, remains, and debris, the history of those who vanished is no longer legend. It's visible, documented, real. But that reality brings with it a deeper ache, because what once seemed like accidents now looks more like inevitability. The hydrology and geology. At its core, Jacob's Well is a karst spring, a geologic formation shaped by limestone erosion over thousands of years. It's fed by the Trinity Aquifer, a massive underground water system that pulses through Texas Hill Country, sustaining rivers, communities, and life far beyond the cave walls. But unlike open springs, this one twists deep underground, dropping over 30 feet vertically before angling down through narrow conduits and chambers that reach depths of 120 feet or more. Some hydrologists believe the system extends hundreds, even thousands of feet beyond what has been mapped. Still largely unexplored, the cave's architecture makes it uniquely dangerous. Many sections are filled with fine silt, capable of blacking out visibility with a single movement. Other areas are formed from gravel and loose substrate, meaning tunnels can shift or collapse unpredictably. Some chambers have no air pockets, no turns, and no exit without perfect navigation. It wasn't always like this. In 1924, Jacob's Well flowed so powerfully it shot water 6 feet into the air, discharging around 170 gallons per second. But modern pressures, drought, urban development, and aquifer pumping have caused the spring to cease flowing entirely multiple times in recent years. 2000, 2008, 2011, 2013, 2022. This not only impacts ecology, it makes diving more perilous. Lower flow means more silt, less visibility, and more stagnant danger. Understanding this geology is crucial. It explains why even the best divers failed, why the well seems to change, why the drone's stability is its greatest asset. Jacob's Well isn't just a hole in the ground. It's a living, shifting system carved by time, shaped by pressure, and unforgiving to error. And thanks to modern technology, we are finally beginning to see it for what it is. Not a playground, but a natural labyrinth whose rules we never truly understood. Drone footage reveals the unknown. For decades, the stories surrounding Jacob's Well have existed in the murky space between myth and memory. Shadows in the silt, echoes of lost voices, a glove drifting through black water. Now, for the first time, these fragments are no longer anecdotal. They're visual. The drone footage captured during the expedition did more than confirm legends. It mapped what no diver could safely document. Each quarter, each chamber, each choke point now exists in digital clarity. The third and fourth chambers, long rumored to hold gear and remains, are now verified sites of tragedy, where time has stopped and water has preserved what stone tried to bury. High-definition video shows wetsuits half consumed by limestone, masks sealed under rock, and tanks embedded in gravel. Some of the gear predates current manufacturing, identifying it as belonging to divers lost in the 1970s and 80s. One particularly haunting image shows a regulator hose, still curled around a tank like it's waiting to be used. Even more chilling are the forms. The drone captured what appear to be human remains, positioned exactly as if the diver were still trying to move forward, trapped forever in a space too tight to escape. But it's not just tragedy the footage Duemers was seen in. It's data. Using sonar, 3D mapping, and visual references, the footage is now being used to construct high-resolution models of the well's internal structure. For the first time, experts can analyze spatial relationships, collapse risk, and flow dynamics from the safety of a lab. This opens new doors, not just for research, but for possible recovery and remediation. Still, the footage also raises a deeper truth. These weren't just equipment failures or unlucky dives. This system was and remains unforgiving by design. And while technology may help us understand it, it doesn't make it any safer. The camera went where no human should, and it came back with proof that nature is not always meant to be conquered. The ethical and operational questions. Now that the truth is visible, a new conversation begins, not of exploration, but of ethics. Should we go back? Should human divers return to recover remains or retrieve long-lost gear? The drone footage shows unstable ceilings, loose gravel, and zero visibility pinch points that could collapse at any moment. Every risk that claimed a life in the past still exists today, perhaps worse now, with even more sediment and decay. And if we choose to act, who takes responsibility? Is this a recovery mission, a scientific study, or a memorial effort? Are we seeking closure for families or satisfying curiosity? And what happens if another tragedy occurs in the process? There are also legal and logistical concerns. Jacob's Well is a public park with parts of the system closed to diving for safety reasons. The site draws thousands of visitors each year. If new footage inspires more people to attempt entry, how do we prevent new losses? Some argue for further restrictions. Others advocate for virtual access, releasing footage and maps publicly to satisfy interest without risking lives. A few push for memorialization, treating the deeper chambers as sacred ground, untouched but not forgotten. What the drone showed us cannot be unseen. And now we must decide not just what we can do, but what we should. Mystery, theory, and unanswered questions. The drone's footage brought answers, but it also stirred new questions, some of them even harder to face. We now know where some of the missing went. We see their gear, we see the body positions, we can reconstruct parts of their final moments. But why exactly they died remains murky. Was it silt out? Panic? A gravel shift that sealed a corridor in seconds? The footage can't explain hesitation, disorientation, or decisions made under pressure and limited air. We can guess, but we may never know for sure. Worse still, the footage reveals something troubling. Unmapped corridors, narrow cracks branching deeper into the darkness, some too tight for the ROV to enter. Could there be more chambers? Could there be more victims? Or even alternative exits never discovered? Geologists believe it's possible. The karst system Jacob's Well belongs to is porous, ever-shifting, and possibly connected to underground networks miles away. The cave may be larger than anyone imagined, reaching beyond current maps into untouched chambers. Could it be stabilized? Could future tech allow for safe mapping or even robotic recovery? Possibly, but that's a decision for institutions, not adrenaline seekers. At the heart of it all is our obsession with the unknown. The surface of Jacob's Well is a mirror, inviting, beautiful, and deceptive. Beneath it lies a system not meant for human presence. And yet, we keep looking, because mystery, especially when hidden in water and stone, calls to something ancient in us. But not every mystery needs to be solved. Some are warnings in disguise. The significance and takeaway. What the drone captured beneath Jacob's Well is more than eerie footage. It's a revelation. Above the surface, families swim, tourists take photos, and the Texas sun dances across the water. But below, beneath that thin, clear threshold, lies an entirely different world. A silent cathedral of stone filled with shadow, memory, and risk. This story is one of contrasts, a place celebrated for its beauty, now also marked by its cost. A natural wonder that doubles as a natural trap. A tranquil spring that hides a labyrinth of geological menace. The use of drones didn't just uncover facts, it offered a new philosophy. We now have the ability to see without risking lives. We can map, study, and remember without trespassing into lethal terrain. This is the future of deep exploration, not with bravery alone, but with technology that respects danger. And as climate pressures and human activity further stress aquifers like the Trinity, the hydrology of Jacob's Well will only become more unpredictable. Ultimately, this is a reminder. Nature is not our stage. It is not ours to tame or test. It is powerful, it is patient, and it keeps its secrets well. And sometimes the most respectful thing we can do after seeing what lies beneath is to leave it undisturbed and remember those who never came back. The footage confirmed what legends only hinted at. Jacob's Well is more than a swimming hole. It's a watery tomb, a preserved warning. The drones didn't just capture images, they unearthed the well's hidden history, its dangers, and its dead. And what they found left even the most experienced researchers completely silent.